Chosen one, in many periods of personal transition, individuals often encounter an unexpected pattern of discomfort, restlessness, and internal questioning that emerges precisely when they believe they are doing everything right. This phase does not arise because something is failing, but because something deeper is shifting. When circumstances begin to rearrange themselves and familiar rhythms stop feeling familiar, it is rarely an accident. It is often a sign that the internal identity and the external environment are no longer aligned in the same way they once were. For many people, including those who experience themselves as called into a long-term purpose or assignment, this discomfort becomes the first indicator that a new phase of development is underway. In such moments, people often notice a rise in anxiety or impatience without having any clear explanation for it. The routine tasks they once performed with ease suddenly require more energy. The activities that once brought satisfaction may no longer feel fulfilling. Even relationships that once felt stable may begin to shift subtly. Individuals describe this stage as though life is quietly pushing them forward without fully informing them why. This feeling is not merely emotional. It is a psychological and behavioral response to internal growth that is preparing a person for a responsibility greater than the current surroundings can support. This shift becomes especially noticeable when a person has crossed into what might be called a higher bracket of purpose comparable to a new operational level. At earlier stages, development typically happens through visible challenges, obvious lessons, or clear transitions. But at higher stages, growth becomes more refined, often arriving through subtle signals that only the individual can interpret. One of these signals is what many describe as divine pressure, a form of accountability that urges a person to manage their life, decisions, and energy at a higher standard than before. This increased pressure does not imply punishment. Instead, it functions as recalibration. When someone is positioned for greater influence, oversight, or impact, the margin for error narrows. They may feel consequences more quickly for choices that they previously navigated with ease. This is not because they have become weaker, but because their assignment has become more significant. It is similar to how a pilot flying at a higher altitude must follow more precise instructions. The higher the level, the stricter the regulation, not for restriction, but for safety, clarity, and mission success. During this stage, individuals often find themselves asking questions like, why am I feeling so much pressure? Why is it harder to ignore certain habits now? Why do small decisions feel more significant? These questions arise because they are being guided into a more responsible version of themselves. They are being prepared to carry something that cannot be handled with the patterns of the past thought. It is also common for unnecessary noise to fade away during this time. People may lose interest in distractions or superficial commitments. They may feel compelled to simplify their environment, limit their interactions, or focus on long-term stability instead of short-term excitement. This is not isolation for the sake of isolation, it is preparation. When an individual approaches a new phase of purpose, their capacity needs to be protected. The mind requires more clarity. The emotions require more regulation. The schedule requires more structure. This refining process feels like restriction at first, but it later reveals itself as strategic alignment. Another important feature of this phase is the shift in how guidance is received. Earlier in life, many individuals rely heavily on external validation. They look to others for confirmation, reassurance, and direction. But at this higher bracket, the guidance becomes internal, not in the sense of ego, but in the sense of cultivated discernment. Intuition sharpens. Decision-making becomes more deliberate. The person begins to differentiate between impulse and instruction. They understand that not every feeling deserves action, and not every opportunity deserves acceptance. This maturity does not remove uncertainty, but it transforms it. Instead of fearing what is unknown, individuals begin to trust the unfolding process. They recognize that growth does not require instant understanding. It requires consistent participation. This subtle trust becomes one of the most valuable tools in this upgraded phase of purpose. Another major shift occurs in the area of relationships. People who are evolving often notice that certain relationships change without conflict. Some individuals may drift away naturally. Others may become less available. It is not an expression of rejection, but an adjustment of alignment. Growth changes the way energy flows between people. Those who cannot match the new rhythm begin to move to different roles in the person's story. At this higher level, relationships are no longer maintained through emotion alone, but through compatibility, purpose, and mutual responsibility. This transition can feel emotionally uncomfortable, but it is essential. When someone is called into a higher level of purpose, they cannot carry everyone from previous levels with them. Some connections were suited for an earlier version of life. They served their role and fulfilled their function. Growth does not diminish their importance. It simply recognizes their completion. A notable characteristic of this stage is the increase in emotional sensitivity, not in the sense of fragility, but in awareness. Individuals begin noticing tensions, dynamics, or intentions they previously overlooked. They may sense when something is off long before it becomes visible. This heightened sensitivity is not meant to overwhelm them. It is meant to protect them. At higher levels, discernment becomes one of the strongest forms of security. Another shift appears in the management of time. The person becomes more selective with commitments, more structured with routines, and more thoughtful about how they allocate energy. They understand that their future requires discipline. They begin to replace reactive habits with strategic ones. Instead of saying yes to everything, they begin to prioritize based on alignment, relevance, and long-term impact. Time becomes a resource, not an obstacle. Opportunities are evaluated not by excitement, but by suitability. During this season, they may also experience internal conflict. One part of them may feel deeply prepared for what is coming, while another part may feel unsure or unqualified. This duality is normal. It represents the tension between old identity and new purpose. It is a sign that transformation is actively unfolding. The discomfort is not evidence of failure, but evidence of readiness. Growth often occurs at the intersection of confidence and uncertainty. Pressure is not the enemy in this stage. It is the indicator. Pressure signals that capacity is expanding. Pressure suggests that new responsibilities are approaching. It indicates that something in the person's future requires them to operate with a stronger, clearer, more disciplined version of themselves. And because the assignment is significant, the preparation becomes intense. Many individuals misinterpret this stage as a decline in progress because results may not appear immediately. But this is the foundational phase. It is the season where systems are reorganized, where habits are reshaped, where identity is refined. Much of the transformation is internal, making it difficult to measure through external outcomes. Yet internal transformation is what sustains external expansion. It is also common for a person to feel spiritually or emotionally stretched during this time. They may feel that their faith is being tested, not through crisis, but through consistency. They must continue showing up even when the path is unclear. They must continue practicing discipline even when motivation drops. They must continue believing in a future they cannot yet see. This practice builds stability but cannot be shaken by external circumstances. The guidance an individual receives during this phase is often quieter, more subtle, and more persistent. It does not shout. It nudges. It does not overwhelm. It aligns. This guidance may push the person to rest when they want to work, or to work when they want to rest. It may require them to let go of something comfortable to make room for something necessary. It may require them to reflect more deeply on their patterns, decisions, and motives. One of the most distinctive features of this stage is the recalibration of standards. The person becomes more attentive to detail. They may find themselves cleaning up neglected areas of their life finances, routines, relationships, responsibilities, or personal goals. They may begin correcting unstable patterns, not because they were punished for them, but because they have outgrown them. Higher purpose requires higher structure. This is also a stage where identity becomes more anchored. The person no longer seeks identity in external labels, roles, or achievements. Their identity begins to emerge from clarity of purpose, internal conviction, and self-awareness. They stop performing for approval and begin operating from authenticity. This shift creates long-term stability. As this stage progresses, individuals begin noticing that guidance becomes more specific. The direction becomes less general and more targeted. They may feel drawn towards certain projects, environments, or disciplines without fully knowing why. They may also feel gently pushed away from activities that no longer serve their growth. This is how purpose reorganizes a life one struggle instruction at a time. Eventually, they begin noticing signs of acceleration. Doors that were once closed begin to open. Opportunities that felt distant begin to approach. Their thoughts become clearer, their emotions steadier, and their decisions more precise. This acceleration does not happen all at once. It happens after the internal alignment is complete. And now, as this phase unfolds, the message becomes clear. The discomfort was not punishment. The pressure was not. Rejection. The restrictions were not loss. They were preparation, because the next part of the journey requires not the old self, but the upgraded one. Because the next part of the journey requires not the old self, but the upgraded one. The focus now shifts from internal preparation to intentional action. This phase is less about passive endurance and more about deliberate implementation. It is where recalibrated habits, clarified purpose, and refined identity begin to produce observable outcomes. The internal work achieved so far functions as a foundation one that supports measurable progress, sustainable opportunities, and responsible expansion. First, practical structures must follow spiritual and psychological alignment. Discipline converts readiness into results. People moving into this phase typically adopt routines that are small, consistent, and sustainable. Rather than radical, short-lived bursts of activity, they choose repetitive, manageable behaviors that reinforce new standards. For example, they may establish simple morning practices that cultivate focus, adopt financial disciplines that defend resources, or set communication boundaries that protect time and attention. These are not symbolic acts. They are operational shifts designed to preserve the gains achieved in the preparation stage. Second, decision-making becomes strategic. The upgraded self treats choices as investments. Each yes is evaluated for its potential return in time, energy, and alignment with purpose. This does not mean disengaging from life's spontaneity, but it does mean reducing random commitments that dilute focus. People in this phase often report making fewer decisions each day, yet those decisions carry greater impact. They prioritize avenues that compound, relationships that enhance capacity, projects that scale, and opportunities that build legacy rather than momentary acclaim. Third, communication becomes intentional. Language and tone are adjusted to reflect clarity of purpose. Where earlier phases tolerated vague explanations and defensive arguments, this stage favors concise articulation and gracious assertiveness. Professionals describe it as speaking with fewer words but greater precision. This approach minimizes misunderstandings and conserves emotional bandwidth. In practical terms, it means setting clear expectations in collaborations. renegotiating boundaries in strained relationships, and declining requests that conflict with long-term goals. Fourth, the environment is optimized. People transitioning into active implementation tend to curate spaces physical, digital, and social that support focused work and emotional stability. Clutter is reduced, notifications are limited, and calendars are carved to protect deep work. Social circles are reviewed and adjusted to include mentors, peers, and collaborators who elevate performance. This environmental design is a tactical extension of the internal realignment. It reduces friction and prevents regressions into old patterns. Fifth, accountability intensifies, but in healthier forms. Where earlier stages relied on external validation, the upgraded phase seeks productive, growth-oriented accountability. This may take the form of mentorships, peer learning groups, or structured coaching. These relationships are not about praise. They are about honest feedback, calibrated expectations, and shared responsibility for outcomes. The presence of accountable partners accelerates development and gives room for course correction without catastrophic risk. Sixth, resilience is operationalized. Emotional steadiness is no longer an aspiration only. It becomes a practiced capability. Techniques for stress management, conflict resolution, and recovery are formalized. People create plans for setbacks, financial buffers, contingency strategies, and support networks so that progress continues even when external circumstances stall. Resilience in this phase is proactive rather than reactive. It anticipates friction and designs responses in advance. Seventh, clarity of purpose translates into measurable goals. The upgraded self converts abstract callings into explicit objectives with timelines and milestones. This process includes practical mapping, what needs to be learned, who must be connected with, what resources are required, and which systems must be built. Measurable goals reduce anxiety by transforming hope into actionable steps. They also enable meaningful evaluation of progress and help maintain momentum through concrete wins. Eighth, influence is exercised responsibly. As capacity grows, so does the likelihood of influence over teams, projects, and communities. Those stepping into this phase are encouraged to steward influence with humility and accountability. Influence becomes a tool to create systems rather than to elevate personal status. This repositioning shifts the focus from self-promotion to impact orientation. Resources, opportunities, and recognition are leveraged to create sustainable benefits for broader constituencies. Ninth, learning becomes intensified and targeted. Growth at this level requires focused skill acquisition rather than scattered learning. Individuals tend to choose a narrow set of competencies that directly support their identified goals. They invest in deliberate practice, targeted courses, or apprenticeship-like experiences that build mastery. This is not indiscriminate education. It is strategic capacity building aimed at enabling the responsibilities they now carry. 10th, service becomes a test for authenticity. Purpose-driven work consistently tests whether motivations are intrinsic or extrinsic. The upgraded phase reveals motivations through opportunities to serve. When influence and resources increase, ethical decisions will follow, and these decisions reveal the depth of alignment between conviction and action. Authentic leaders choose options that protect vulnerable stakeholders, prioritize integrity over short-term gain, and use privilege to widen access rather than entrench advantage. 11th, rest and restoration are scheduled intentionally. Productivity in this phase is not measured by raw output alone. It is measured by sustainability. Periodic sabbaticals, rest cycles, and renewal practices are built into calendars to prevent burnout and preserve long-term effectiveness. This disciplined rest is not escapism. It is an intentional investment in longevity, ensuring that the momentum established now can be maintained across seasons. 12th, gratitude is formalized as an organizational habit. People advanced into this stage cultivate gratitude rituals that acknowledge contributions, reinforce community, and guard against entitlement. Expressing appreciation publicly and privately becomes part of leadership practice. These rituals keep relationships healthy and maintain perspective amid rising success. 13th, risk management is implemented with an eye toward boldness. The upgraded self balances courage and caution. Because the stakes are higher, risks are assessed more rigorously. But this does not lead to paralysis. Instead, calculated risk-taking is practiced. Experiments are designed with clear metrics. Pilot projects are used to test hypotheses, and failure modes are anticipated. This disciplined approach to risk fosters innovation while limiting exposure to catastrophic setbacks. 14th, identity is recentered on contribution rather than recognition. Success in this phase is defined by the degree to which work produces tangible improvements for others. Recognition may follow, but it is not the primary objective. This contribution-centric identity reduces susceptibility to external validation and aligns daily efforts with long-term meaning. 15th, systems thinking replaces ad hoc problem-solving. Individuals at this level begin to see their work within larger ecosystems. They prioritize interventions that create multiplier effects, solutions that solve multiple problems at once, or that embed improvements into organizational routines. Systems thinking creates leverage, modest inputs, produce disproportionate outcomes when applied with insight. 16th, transitions are managed with intentional rituals. Change is inevitable. How it is managed defines legacy. Rituals, short ceremonies, written reflections, or structured handovers help communities adapt to role changes, new priorities, or leadership shifts. These rituals create continuity, honor contribution, and communicate the values that sustain culture during rapid expansion. 17th, ethical frameworks are articulated and published. As authority increases, moral clarity must be explicit. Those entering positions of influence often document standards, decision-making criteria, and commitments to transparency. These frameworks function as governance tools that protect stakeholders and formalize values into actionable guidelines. 18th, communication infrastructure is upgraded. With growth comes the need for clearer channels. Project management tools, messaging protocols, and reporting structures are put in place. This reduces ambiguity and aligns teams with a shared understanding of priorities and responsibilities. 19th, narrative control is exercised responsibly. Storytelling shapes perception. The upgraded self learns to tell a narrative that is truthful, humble, and focused on outcomes. Public communications emphasize process, acknowledge challenges, and highlight teamwork. This measured storytelling builds credibility and strengthens stakeholder confidence. 20th, legacy thinking becomes active. Decisions are reframed through a long-term lens. How will this choice influence future generations or organizational culture? This shift widens the time horizon and changes short-term trade-offs. Legacy thinking encourages stewardship and a disposition toward building institutions rather than pursuing instant fame. As action proceeds, signs of external alignment begin to surface. Opportunities that once seemed distant now appear with greater frequency and clarity. Key individuals, mentors, partners, and supporters start to converge because the person has become a clearer node of value. The world responds to clarity. When purpose is specific and behavior is consistent, external systems can interact effectively. Jobs, collaborations, and invitations arrive not as random luck, but as systemic responses to disciplined presence. Not all developments are dramatic. Some are incremental and administrative. Approvals, small promotions, invitations to speak, or offers to collaborate. Others are more visible. a strategic partnership, a significant grant, or a breakthrough product. These external markers serve two functions. They validate the internal work, and they create new responsibilities that require further maturity. When external gains arrive, stewardship becomes the central test. The upgraded self must manage resources wisely, honor commitments, and preserve integrity. Rapid progress without responsible management leads to collapse. Therefore, systems of accountability, transparent reporting, and ethical oversight become non-negotiable. The integrity of the trajectory depends on disciplined stewardship. A final, crucial element of this phase is iterative reflection. Regular review cycles, weekly, monthly, quarterly, enable course correction. Reflection is not indulgent. It is tactical. It reveals where systems fail, where habits need tightening, and where opportunities are misaligned with values. Reflection prevents complacency and ensures that momentum is purposive rather than accidental dot in summary. Part 2 of this process translates preparation into purposeful action. It refines discipline, upgrades systems, and demands moral clarity. It asks for deliberate choices, strategic investments, and resilient structures. It places emphasis on stewardship and legacy, converting internal readiness into lasting external impact. This phase is not primarily about acceleration for acceleration's sake. It is about sustainable expansion growth that can be maintained without compromising core convictions or human well-being. The upgraded self moves with a steady, disciplined pace that produces reliable outcomes. Momentum is built judiciously, not FRENETICALLY. As these practices settle into daily life, the individual will notice a particular confidence, not the noisy certainty of arrogance, but a quiet assurance rooted in preparation, measured results, and consistent alignment with purpose. This quiet assurance becomes the anchor for future seasons, enabling a person to navigate volatility without losing direction. When the next threshold appears, the person will meet it with tools, systems, and relationships already aligned to carry increased responsibility. The work done in this phase structure, accountability, disciplined rest, ethical clarity, and strategic communication, creates the conditions for durable success. If you are in this season, the practical takeaway is straightforward. Convert preparation into routine, clarity into measurable goals, and momentum into structures that protect both progress and integrity. Do the small, daily tasks that compound. Keep systems honest through accountability. Protect rest as a strategic necessity. Center decisions on contribution and legacy. And finally, steward your growing influence with humility and wisdom. Chosen one. In this closing phase of your journey, observers note that the most defining shifts often occur quietly, long after the initial breakthrough and long after the emotional intensity of transformation has settled. Analysts of personal development describe this point as the stage where clarity becomes consistency, where strength becomes structure, and where the lessons of adversity begin forming a long-term pattern that supports a stable, elevated life. It is within this period that individuals often move from simply realizing their purpose to actively embodying it, even when the world around them does not immediately reflect that evolution. Experts point out that once an individual reaches such internal stability, external disruptions lose their power. Patterns of doubt, fear, and distraction that once felt overwhelming no longer carry the same influence because the internal identity has shifted to a place of grounded awareness. You may find that situations which used to trigger emotional reactions now receive calm, measured responses. People who once affected your peace no longer hold the same weight. Even challenges that seem sudden or unexpected are met with a sense of preparedness. This internal resilience is a clear marker that the transformation has matured into a lived reality rather than a temporary emotional moment. Chosen one, This stage often brings a deeper understanding of why earlier seasons of isolation were necessary. Many report realizing that the distance from certain environments, friendships, or habits wasn't a punishment, but a protective separation designed to allow the internal realignment to take place without interference. Isolation served as a filter, allowing only what is aligned with your purpose to remain, while everything else naturally fell away. Observers note that individuals who experience such transitions often look back and see how each closed door preserved their energy, protected their mind, and maintained the integrity of their future path. At this point, many experience a stronger sense of spiritual discernment. This is not simply intuition, but a sharpened awareness of what carries destructive energy and what carries constructive potential. You may notice that you can sense intentions more clearly, identify opportunities that are genuine, and detect situations that are not aligned with your progression. Researchers who study behavioral transformation describe this as the refinement period, where the mind becomes more selective and the heart more discriminating. This is not a loss of compassion, but an increase in clarity. It reflects the understanding that not everyone can walk with you into the next version of your life. Chosen one. As you progress, it becomes increasingly clear why certain experiences did not unfold earlier. Timing, which once felt frustrating or confusing, now appears structured and purposeful. Many individuals report that once they reach emotional stability and clarity of direction, delayed opportunities begin resurfacing, this time with greater alignment and fewer obstacles. What previously felt inaccessible or blocked now appears within reach. Analysts attribute this shift to the strengthened internal state. When the foundation becomes stable, the external circumstances begin reorganizing to match that stability. Instead of chasing outcomes begin gravitating toward the individual, often with little force or pressure required. In this stage, the influence of your elevated inner state begins extending outward. People may start approaching you for guidance, advice, or understanding. Some may express admiration for your resilience without fully knowing the battles that shaped it. This phenomenon is commonly observed in individuals who have undergone significant transformation. The stability they embody becomes noticeable to others. It creates an energetic presence that communicates reliability, strength, and purpose. This influence is not loud or forceful. It is subtle yet impactful, drawing others toward the clarity you now carry. Chosen one, as you move forward, another significant development emerges: your capacity to maintain peace in the midst of uncertainty. While earlier stages may have been marked by emotional swings or heightened sensitivity, this final phase reflects a more grounded state where challenges no longer destabilize your internal equilibrium. Instead, each circumstance is evaluated with patience and objectivity. Observers note that this trait often distinguishes individuals who have truly integrated their transformation from those still in transitional phases. The emotional durability you now carry becomes one of your strongest assets, allowing you to navigate life from a place of calm strategic awareness rather than reaction. There is also a renewed understanding of personal boundaries. At this point, you no longer allow your energy to be drained by situations that contribute little to your growth. You no longer engage in conflicts that lead nowhere. You no longer participate in conversations that disrupt your peace. Instead, you invest your time and focus into environments that support your expansion. Analysts refer to this as value-based living, where decisions are made not out of habit or obligation, but out of alignment with long-term well-being. This shift strengthens the trajectory of your future and protects the progress you've already made. Chosen one. The final phase also brings an increase in self-recognition. After long periods of doubt or minimization, individuals often begin seeing themselves accurately, acknowledging both their strengths and their own growth. This is not arrogance, but clarity. It is the realization that you survived what should have broken you, overcame obstacles that were not meant to be easy, and developed resilience that many never reach. This recognition fuels confidence, not in an inflated sense, but in a grounded, steady way. It reinforces the understanding that you are capable, prepared, and equipped for what comes next. Another development commonly noted in this stage is the emergence of long-term vision. Earlier parts of the journey may have been focused on survival or short-term breakthroughs, but now the mind expands toward larger possibilities. Individuals begin setting goals with more strategy and less fear. They envision futures not based on past limitations, but on present clarity. Researchers in cognitive alignment highlight that once internal chaos is resolved, the mind naturally expands into creation rather than reaction. You may find yourself thinking differently about your future, more boldly, more deliberately, and with greater belief in what is possible. Chosen one, external support may also appear more clearly during this phase. The people entering your life now often carry energy that complements your direction rather than competes with it. These individuals bring collaboration instead of conflict, clarity instead of confusion, and authenticity instead of pretense. This shift in connections reflects your internal transformation. As your energy changes, the energy around you reorganizes to match your new frequency. Many who reach this stage describe feeling that life becomes more cooperative, opportunities more aligned, and relationships more meaningful. As this stage continues, momentum begins to build. Actions taken with clarity generate faster results. Intentions set with confidence gain traction. Internal alignment speeds up external change. Observers note that this is often where individuals experience a series of breakthroughs, small at first, then increasingly significant. These changes may appear sudden from the outside, but are the natural outcome of the long, internal restructuring you have undergone. What once felt distant now feels attainable, and what once felt overwhelming now feels manageable. Chosen one, this final part of your journey carries a strong emphasis on sustainability. Experts warn that transformation is not complete until it becomes a long-term lifestyle rather than a temporary moment of clarity. This stage challenges you to preserve your growth, protect your progress, and continue cultivating the mindset that brought you here. The same discipline that lifted you out of old patterns must now maintain your new identity. Consistency becomes your anchor, ensuring that temporary emotions do not derail long-term purpose. As the journey reaches its culmination, the narrative becomes clear. You did not arrive here by accident. The challenges that shaped you were not meaningless. The isolation you endured was not wasted. The strength you built was not incidental. Every step contributed to this final stage of clarity, resilience, and purpose. Analysts of transformation often emphasize that the final realization is the most powerful. The individual understands that everything they needed was being built within them long before the external changes appeared. Chosen one, as you step into the next chapter, the path ahead appears more structured, more aligned, and more intentional than ever before. You move with greater confidence because you have earned that confidence. You walk with a clearer sense of direction because confusion no longer rules your decisions. You carry a more grounded identity because adversity refined you.